morning, everybody, and welcome to 1 Million Cups in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. My name is Sadie Sweer, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator at Downtown Sioux Falls, Inc. And of course, 1 Million Cups has been going on for quite a number of years in Sioux Falls, but this is actually the first time I am hosting it. I am so excited. Of course, 1 Million Cups is a local organization, but also nationwide, thanks to the Kauffman Foundation, and with the idea that everybody can come together on Wednesday mornings over 1 million cups of coffee. And I'm really excited because I have a very long time connection with 1 Million Cups. I used to come back when it was at what's now our wine bar. In that room, I used to come when I was in college, and what was incredible was when people used to come and just tell their stories about what their journey and dream was, and it really spoke to me, 1 Million Cups, showing the collaboration of Sioux Falls and what's possible when you can bring people together and share different ideas and ask questions. So I am so excited to be here today, and of course, kicking it off, is there anybody new here in the room who would like to share their name, share what they're doing here, and how they heard of 1 Million Cups? Anybody new in the audience? Oh, we got one. All right. Do you want to come up and share your name? And if you want to come to the mic, we have it up here, of course, to stay safe and not share the mic.
Hi, so this is my first time I've ever, showed up here. I just moved here about a month and a half ago. I guess it's the land of opportunity for me. I grew up in a tiny town, so like Watertown is a city for me. So it's kind of nice to be involved in a bigger town for sure. But my name is Josh Gross, and I currently run my own business. I'm pretty young. I don't know if that's important. I'm 19 years old, and I skipped college to kind of pursue what I considered, kind of like a new era of business that, I really thrive in. Grew up around social media, so that's something, I kind of had the handle on. And right now I run a social media automation company that automates social media for businesses, local and big. I guess that's a rundown of what I do, who I am, and what I'm doing here.
Awesome. Thank you. Might have another speaker, 2021. Thank you, Josh. And now I see a lot of 1 Million Cuppers who are here a lot, so you'll have to, my challenge is go introduce yourself to Josh here when we're done at the end of the hour. So go do that. But any other community events happening? Of course, I come for the last couple of years and talk about downtown Sioux Falls events, so I have some queued up. But we have one. Come on up to the mic if you want to share.
Good morning, everybody. For those who don't know me, I am Kayla Rogeberg with the U.S. Small Business Administration here in South Dakota, Sioux Falls. It is National Veteran Small Business Week. We've been celebrating it since Monday. It's November 2nd to the 6th. And I just wanted to give you guys a couple of updates on some events we have going up. We don't have anything happening today, but there's national events through SBA. You can find those at sba.gov/vetbiz. And for our Sioux Falls, South Dakota SBA events, we have 2 tomorrow. At 11 a.m., we have Selling to the Government, Getting Down to Business. The South Dakota PTAC and SBA is partnering together to put on a virtual contracting webinar and all about selling to the government. And you'll learn about what the agencies purchase, and you'll be provided a lot of good contact information. Another exciting webinar we have tomorrow is Marketing Your Business for the Holidays. Our Women's Business Center out in Rapid City is putting together a webinar. It's all about marketing your business for the holidays, kind of whether that's digital, social media, and that starts at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Again, those are 2 great events that we have, and for all other events, you can follow us on Twitter. It's SBA _South Dakota. Again, that's SBA _South Dakota. And we also are highlighting a lot of good veteran-owned businesses this week. So make sure to follow us on there. Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla. Anybody else? Some community events? Okay. Peter, anything from Facebook for events? No? Okay. Well, on with the show. We're very excited at 1 Million Cups to have this morning somebody who is a great person to have speaking about startups. And not only that, but we were talking before this, and he said he looks at South Dakota and this area as possibly a prairie Silicon Valley. And so Dhiraj Sharan is going to speak with us this morning about his business, Query AI, and he has been doing that for the past couple years now, but he's based out of California and has experience in numerous other startups as well. So please give a great Sioux Falls welcome to Dhiraj Sharan, and we are excited to have you. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to be in front of you guys. Really excited to be here. And what an interesting time. I really appreciate that you guys came to hear me talk at this, nail-biting election finish. So I'm stealing you away from your TV screens. So thank you for that. And let me start. So my name is Dhiraj Sharan. I have been in cybersecurity for past 20 years across 4 different startups. And today I'll first talk about Query AI, and I'll tell you what we are doing, and then we'll talk a little bit more about entrepreneurship after that. So Query AI itself. So what is happening in today's organizations, mid and large size companies, is that the amount of data that they are generating is growing. It's actually a lot of system data, a lot of user activity data that is being generated that needs to be analyzed for interesting activity, whether it is for cybersecurity or whether it needs to be for a compliance or other IT operations use case. So the volume, the variety, and the velocity of data is really increasing. So what happens is that the solutions that are out there today to analyze that data, they rely on centralizing that data into a single giant database and analyzing that data. And that is becoming really hard to achieve with that data growth. And really what is happening is that customers' data, some data is in their traditional on-prem network, some data is in their cloud. Sometimes they are using an application which is a SaaS application, so their data is in their SaaS environment. So data is all over, and with bigger companies with different geographic locations, multiple countries, or you have to segregate data for compliance reasons as well. And there isn't any solution that can let you access all of that data and give you insights from that data without really centralizing it. So that's the problem that Query AI is solving. So in one word, it is basically data everywhere, query anything. So that's what we are doing at Query AI. Data everywhere, query anything. You basically connect your interface to wherever data resides in your environment, and from a web browser itself, you can ask questions out of your data and get answers out of your data. So that's the product. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we started and how I started as founder CEO of this company. This is my 4th startup experience, second one as lead founder. My first startup experience was in ArcSight, which was a security information and event management company. I lived in Bay Area over last 3 startups, and I saw that how innovation is always built in layers where you try to find what is the current problem that is not being solved by the existing class of products, and how can you come up with a disruptive innovation, that extra layer of innovation that solves that problem. And that's what I was fortunate enough to go through in the past 3 companies. So with Query AI, with the first startup, ArcSight, I stayed there 12 years, saw it be a public company, got acquired by HP. And there, basically, it was a security information and event management product. After that, I started another company which was trying to solve the problem of user behavior analysis. So even though data was being analyzed, but it was really about user activity, that what things a user is doing that needs to be analyzed for anomalies and security threats, whether the account has been compromised. So Pedasecure and Niara were the startups there, and that got acquired back by HP again. And then after that, I was going to start Query AI in Bay Area, but one personal thing that happened on the side is that my wife, she took a faculty position at SDSU in Brookings here, and it was an interesting challenge. I thought that, well, let's try it out, let's see what happens. And I came here, and I was really happy with the opportunity that exists in the region. I saw that there is great universities here, SDSU, DSU, locally here that are producing great talent, and yet there aren't that many tech startups, enterprise tech startups here. So that made it really possible that, okay, let's have a development center here as well. So we actually have a development center in the research park in Brookings. I got a lot of help from the region, so from the research park, from the angel groups all across South Dakota, from the Governor's Office of Economic Development, from South Dakota Equity Partners as one of the investors. We raised funding from the leading cybersecurity VCs, and then that's how Query AI came into being. We are at an early stage. We're about 2 years old, working with the initial set of customers, perfecting the product, and we see great potential to grow from here. It's a SaaS product. Once we have proven it with the first 20 set of customers, we think that this can scale, and it can really be like a global product for any mid and large enterprise across different industry verticals. So that's what my journey has been so far. My takeaway, or one thing that I would advise for entrepreneurs sitting here is that look at what opportunities exist in the current scenario and what you can disrupt to create that innovation. We are in an environment with COVID. Suddenly, it's accelerated that digitization that is happening, and that has created opportunities. At the same time, it has been a difficult time for a lot of people, especially in a small business world. But that's where it's an opportunity for entrepreneurs to come up with what can be solved and how it can be solved. And I'm really happy to see if I can help you guys in any way if you have an idea that is towards a technology idea. So I think that's it for me. Any questions, I'm happy to answer those and happy to meet offline as well.
Thank you. Well, let's give him a hand. Round of applause. World needs more applause. Thank you so much. Any questions right off the bat? Awesome. Come on up to the microphone if you have some questions.
Is Query AI a product or a platform?
It's a SaaS product. We call it a solution because we are very lightweight. There isn't really anything for customers to install in the environment. We serve our technology from the browser. So you just go to app.query.ai. The application loads in your browser, and then you point it to wherever data resides in your environment and start interacting with that data. So it's a SaaS product, but a solution. I don't want to call it a platform. It makes it sound really heavy if you call it a platform. It's really a solution.
Just because it sounds like something that you could license out to other companies to incorporate into their products in order to make them more effective at data handling.
Yes, that's a great point. And yes, so those integrations really, we actually already have out of box, we have 90 plus integrations with different products that are storing information that needs to be analyzed or accessed by the IT or security teams. So, and yes, embedding our product or integrating with other products is very much the part of what we do. So I'm happy to talk more offline if you have more ideas on that.
How many sources do you derive from as far as accessing the information, and how do you gain access to those sources?
Right, so that's a great question. So let me tell you a little bit about the types of sources where any enterprise data is there. So there is typically machine data, which is basically the activity data of different systems. There is application data where who's accessing what application, what is that application doing. There is like network activity data where, which machines are, communicating with each other on what ports, exchanging what kind of data. These are the kinds of data that the security and the IT team analyzes and looks at. And they also use ticketing systems like Jira or Remedy, for example. They use CRM systems, products like ServiceNow, where customer interaction data is there. So if you look at it, the vendor might change, but there are these 5-6 classes of products that every company is using, and all this data is segregated in different places. And that's what we can provide a single view to it, so that you can build you can get answers, whatever the information you need. You can get answers on your questions from these different data sources. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And are there fees associated with that, or how does the cost-sharing process take place? And a regulation?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So we are, our licensing structure is more around number of users who will be using the product. So, and we have different licensing tiers, in the sense that how many analysts, how many IT or cybersecurity team users will be using the product, and depending upon, okay, let's say 0 to 5 users, 5 to 10 users, so different layers is how we are licensing it currently. Yet I would say that we are still a young company. We are very flexible, and we want to work with the right set of customers. So we are very flexible on those licensing terms. It's still it's a learning process even on that licensing at this point.
So I have a two-part question. The first part is, what is the biggest challenge you faced in your 2 years? And then the second one is, what is the biggest challenge that you see on the horizon?
Right. Wow, that's the toughest question. So, well, I would say that for a startup to start from absolute zero, from 1% to like now we are about 20 employees. The challenge is, like, every day there's a newer big challenge, and that changes over time. So it's hard to say which is the biggest challenge. There have been times where the biggest challenge is, finding the first 5 customers. There's times where the biggest challenge is, how do we get funding to pay our bills to continue and build the product. So that changes, I would say, quarter to quarter. Fundraising certainly for any startup is a challenge, and that also depends upon the environment, a lot of things. So we actually, we started fundraising right around early summer, and that was bad timing because of COVID and all. Things were shrinking, and people were not really very interested into investing into new companies. But when we met investors, they really saw the opportunity that's there, and we were oversubscribed. We were able to raise the funding that we needed. But that was a hairy time. That was a scary time in I would say that May, June time period this time. So that fundraising was certainly a big challenge. Going forward, I think I would say that it's really about execution from this stage. I don't think that finding customers or finding funding is a problem anymore, but it's really about execution. We really have to keep on delivering and doing better at what we are claiming we are doing. So I think that's many times what happens is that, yeah, you have to be really good at every day executing on what your vision is. So I think that's what we have to keep doing.
Well, I have a question as well. So last week we had somebody come in, and he was an inventor, entrepreneur, and he talked about, I have all these ideas. And you had said you'd been involved in some other startups as well. And so do you find yourself always thinking of new ideas, or can you talk a little bit about like that entrepreneurial spirit or the constant ideas, if you have them at all?
Yeah, that's a problem that I have, but I'm always thinking of, different ideas, what should be done, what can be done. And it's actually hard sometimes that, okay, you have to focus. You have to shut down the 10 other ideas and focus on one big idea that you are doing. And really, as an entrepreneur, you can really only pursue you have to focus your effort into one company, one idea, and you to execute on that. That's why execution is more important than simply the idea generation. But at the same time, I think a great way to work with entrepreneurs and have a community is that as long as there are good entrepreneurs coming up with good ideas, we can have a collaborative environment where we can share ideas, help each other, and have those other companies, other startups grow as well, and form this ecosystem of tech startups or relevant startups that add back to the community, make all of us develop further from here.
Okay, so follow up to that. How do you know what idea to execute out of all of those? $1 million question right there.
Yeah. I think ideas start with an intuition, right? So basically, if you are in your, the best place to look at is that I always like to build up on the prior experience, prior history. I don't want to, like I myself, I could think of ideas in different sectors, but I try not to do that. I really look at, okay, what has been my career in past 20 years, where I can apply my experience to that. So that's one thing that I always recommend, that don't go too far from your domain, your background. Find what is the problem is there in your domain, in your background, and leverage your strength of your background in that domain, and then evaluate that idea. And then really it's about execution from there. Sorry, did I answer your question? Was another part of it?
Yes. No, I think that was awesome. Anything else right now? Oh.
I have a question from Facebook here. It says, it's from Allie, by the way. It says, has COVID changed any of your processes? If so, how have you shifted what you were doing?
Yeah, I think the biggest shift has been this all remote work environment. So we took up the office space in the research park right earlier before COVID happened. And then we realized that, no, really, we have to be working from home. And we also expanded our team further, and we have people all over US. We have some engineers in India as well. So we ended up being like a fully remote company. And it took us that transition, that how can we be fully remote? How can we even reach out to customers in a fully remote manner? Earlier, at least in our industry with enterprise software, it has been historically that you go and meet customers. So now we switch to using platforms like LinkedIn in reaching out to prospects, setting up meetings over Zoom, doing all our development, working from home, using instant messaging for collaboration. And I would say that we have been fortunate that our line of business has been something that can be done fully online, fully from home. So we have been lucky from that aspect. That luxury is not there with everybody. And but probably that's where there is opportunity for entrepreneurs to come up with solutions to such problems, because I think that digitization is going to continue to happen even if COVID goes away, everybody gets vaccinated, things are normal. But that digitization that has accelerated, I think that will continue to happen. People will be finding opportunities to work from home wherever they want to live. They don't have to move to big city centers, big clusters like that, and especially in the technology or media or related world where you don't have to physically deliver things.
Great. I have another question. You talked a little bit about the young professionals who are going to some of these great local universities. I went to one of them, Go Yotes, USD. But do you see anything that you'd like to see improve in terms of that younger workforce staying around here or going to some of these tech companies in the region, the Midwest region?
Yeah, I think many times probably the students who are graduating, they may not have had as much mentoring, as much guidance around what is the right career, how to build that right career, whether to start in a bigger company for which they have to move to another location, or whether to come up as an entrepreneur and come up where you are with an idea and solve a problem where you are. I think that's where the more examples we create and the more opportunities we create, I think that would be useful. I have tried to mentor students wherever possible, and even so we have always taken interns from universities here in Query AI. Even now we have interns working with us. And when I work with them, I try. It's not just that okay, they are doing work for us as interns, but they are also getting that that coaching, that guidance, and hopefully a better vision of how they can move their careers from here.
Great. That's just so interesting because a lot of people, young people, think they need to move away to get some great experience, but they can really stay right here and get some of that quality company experience and mentorship. And so do you not only do interns, but do you mentor other entrepreneurs who are looking into the tech business or anything else like that?
Yeah, yes, and I do, and at the same time, I also get mentored by more senior entrepreneurs or more successful entrepreneurs. So it's always like it's like a collaborative environment. So I'm not claiming that I'm the one who can really help in every possible way, but I am always available to help other entrepreneurs if it's relevant to where I can add value. So tech, certainly, that's where I have my expertise, especially on the enterprise tech side, not as much on the consumer side, but enterprise tech side. And then there's there's a lot of I would say disruptive forces at this point, like catalysts of innovation that are suddenly happening. So increasing digitization, increasing move to cloud, explosion of open source, where it's possible to try new things, try new ideas, fail fast. Like you don't have to be really lingering on to something that is not working for a long time. You have to quickly adapt. So trying these things, testing ideas out with prospects and customers, all of that can happen at a much faster pace. So the risk that you are taking can be reduced. The investment that you have to do to even do that much, that can also be reduced and compressed. So from that aspect, it's a great time for entrepreneurs to jump into this and then look for what is their idea, what they can do, and go from there. And I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Great. Anything else? No more questions? Okay. Well, then we are approaching the end of this morning's 1 Million Cups. So let's give one big last round of applause in person, virtually, for Dhiraj. Thank you so much. Woo.
Thank you.
And so, of course, we're going to do a shout out to our sponsors right here, but thank you so much again this morning for coming on with us. But of course, 1 Million Cups happens every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. in Sioux Falls, virtually in person at the Museum of Visual Materials. So shout out to them, thank them for this wonderful space we have. Of course, our sponsors are First National Bank. We already talked about Museum of Visual Materials, Zeal Center for Entrepreneurship, MarketBeat, and the great production sponsors, which is Pinnacle Companies. So thank you so much for coming in person, and virtually we are going to have some speakers coming up on the slide here for the next couple weeks. So next week it's going to be Christopher Mercado, and he's with Objective Zero app. And is that the week, Peter? Is that the week we have the food truck? Yeah, It's Veterans Day, and we are actually going to have a veterans-owned food truck here for 1 Million Cups to try out the food after we're done listening to a great presentation from Christopher. And then upcoming, we have Kyle Bender with Falcon Plastics, and of course, Nick Coulterman with Fit My Feet coming up in December. So some great speakers coming up. Next week will be Veterans Day, so if you have the day off, come on down here, or if you're still working, or tune in virtually. So again, thank you so much for coming out, and thank you, Dhiraj, and we'll see you next week.